Hi everyone, and welcome once more to A Plus Exquisite Decor. It is so awesome that you stopped by because I will be sharing with you the very first headboard I made. At first, I was quite hesitant about sharing, but an entire story would go untold, so I had to. And moreover, my son, who was approximately 8 years old at the time, said something really special that further motivated me to do so. My mother had come to visit, and the bed she occupied was headless. I needed to get her a headboard and thought it would be a nice gesture to make her one, because I have always had some inclination towards doing upholstery, but never took on anything major. I bought plywood at the hardware store and had a woodwork man take it to his shop, which was walking distance away, to have it cut to the size of a queen bed and also allow it to fit in the van, so I could take it home and draw my designs for him to cut and mark the areas for him to drill the holes for tufting. Because I was afraid of power tools then. But the year 2020 had made me discover a new side of myself, and using power tools has become a thing for me like I had prior experience. I left the board with him because he was quite occupied with prior engagements, so I told him I would be back in the afternoon. When I got back to the shop and told him that I was ready to collect the board to create my design, lo and behold, he told me that he had already made a design. I was astonished because I knew he did not have any clue of the design I had in mind, and I was curious to see what he had come up with. To my surprise, it was a plain arched shape design. I was extremely disappointed because the design I was going for was most extravagant. It was my very first DIY headboard and I was planning to go over the top. I quickly concluded that it might be for the best to have a simple design considering it was my first attempt. I took it home, marked the points, and brought it back to him to do the drilling. Then brought it back home, and I was then on the road to creating my headboard. I attached a layer of 1-inch foam to the board using a spray adhesive. Then I cut around the foam to the exact size of the board using a box cutter. I then added a second layer of 1-inch foam and attached it to the first using the spray adhesive. I cut around the foam to the shape of the board, but this time leaving excess foam right around the edges, which I stapled to the back so that the edges were no longer hardboard but soft to touch. I went behind the board and used a long needle to protrude through the holes and had my son do the markings with a marker so I could identify the points for the buttons, which I then cut out using a pair of scissors. I then layered the foam with batting, followed by a smooth lining fabric, which I fastened at the back with staples. The last layer was the brown upholstery fabric, which I placed over the structure and used a long needle and strong thread to attach gold buttons and create the tucks. And the thread was tied off at the back using smaller buttons. I started out quite well at the top, but reached a major roadblock at the bottom because I cut the fabric too early and did not have sufficient to make the correct pleats and folds, so I had to do some stretching. I was again disappointed, but took it as a lifelong lesson so I would never make that mistake again. Always leave sufficient fabric. It is better to have more than less. Some months later, we were in the room and my son said, "Mom, this is the most amazing thing you have ever created." We were not having any discussions whatsoever about the headboard at that moment. So it warmed my heart because I realized that he actually admired my work and my effort was not in vain. And then and there, I knew that I would have to take on more projects which involved upholstery because I believe that it is a God given gift of mine that I discovered from a very tender age. But that is a totally different story. My mom was really appreciative of my gesture. I thank you so much for watching, and as always, live good, love God, and keep being creative.